All right, very good morning to all of us. Thank you so much for choosing Look Up Television for all the entertainment right here and of course across the globe, across the week. We've been discussing about these for quite some time, and ladies and gentlemen, we have this particular conversation on God's encounters and how special it is to be in the premises and the fulfillment of understanding that God is always there for us. When one or two are gathered, the presence of the Lord is always there. Do we really understand that? Now, in this conversation, we are going to just get an understanding on being on the deep, being rooted on the deep God's encounters, and unto that particular situation, we will be involving Kiage Jr., of course, George Kiage Oseko, to really help us understand the context behind God's encounters. If you're watching us for the first time, this is the Morning Drift Entertainment Friday, and by the involvement of that, remember we are live across all social media platforms as well as YouTube and Facebook. Look Up TV, hashtag The Morning Drift, and of course we are also live in our website www.lookuptv.co.ke. Many have been here, and of course many conversations have been done right here to really understand and embrace the fact that there is a gospel ministry out there. Even as we embrace this conversation, what do you feel about the impact of this ministry in church, in the service, and at the altar? If God is ministering unto us in a particular way, how will you be able to understand that this is the voice of the Lord speaking to us? Even as we understand this conversation, what are some of the things that gospel ministers do when they are in these special encounters? How does God assist them in penetrating or elevating their ministry as well? My name is Moses Okech. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned till the top of the hour. Karibu sana kiongozi, and thank you so much for honoring this invite.
Thank you.
Uko namna gani this morning?
Niko salama.
Kabisa.
Nashukuru.
When we shared the topic about God's encounters, what really came to your mind?
God's encounters. Personal experiences with God. Areas where you've met, you feel like it's one-on-one.
Okay.
And you had to have some intimacy with Him.
All right. And now this rooted in deep God's encounters, how did that sound to you?
That is very personal. It's beyond imagination.
Amazing.
It's deep.
All right. Now, to awaken the mood, of course, this morning, I'll give you a chance, of course, to sing one of your best songs. Of course, I know all of them are best, but there is this one that is a fulfillment this morning. Then of course we'll awaken the spiritual mood right here. Then we continue the conversation. Stage is yours.
Okay. If I was really given a good time, I would do a different one.
All right.
That is not really on YouTube already.
Okay.
As the spirit leads.
Okay.
But since you've requested one that is already out there,
all right.
I would do Tumaini.
Tumaini.
It is that is mostly.
Okay.
It has got its inspiration mainly in that encounter.
Roll it in.
And Tumaini is from the book of Ephesians 1:4, for those good readers of the Bible, or those who would love to be quoted for. Should I go ahead?
Yeah, proceed. Stage is yours.
Kwanza nashukuru kwa uhai ulonipa Bwana, sio rahisi kamwe, sio rahisi ulimwengu na utambua kwa yale nayaona tu. Sio rahisi kamwe, sio rahisi mahusiano ya kibinadamu, sio ya kuaminiwa kamwe. Kwa uhai ulonipa nijulishe Bwana, kusudi lako ni lipi, nitende, niweke mawazo yangu mle mimi nitange mbali na ya dunia hii yasiyo na faida mbele za mbingu, yanayovunja mtima wangu. Kumbe ni ubatili, kumbe ni ubatili mtupu. Kama ulivyonichagua katika wewe kabla ya misingi ya dunia, nisiwe na hatia mbele zako katika pendo, thibitisho kwamba naitwa mbarikiwa tena ndani yake. Kusudi kubwa kama ulivyonichagua katika wewe kabla ya misingi ya dunia, nisiwe na hatia mbele zako katika pendo, thibitisho kwamba naitwa mbarikiwa tena ndani yake. Kusudi kubwa Baba wa utukufu, unipe roho wa hekima wa ufunuo katika wewe, nipate kujua. Macho yangu uyatie nuru, nijue tumaini la wito wako jinsi lilivyo, na ubora ukuwa uweza wako, na ni ya tumaini hili jinsi lilivyo kuu. Baba wa utukufu, unipe roho wa hekima wa ufunuo katika wewe, nipate kujua. Macho yangu uyatie nuru, nijue tumaini la wito wako jinsi lilivyo, na ubora ukuwa uweza wako, ndani ya tumaini hili jinsi lilivyo kuu. Kama ulivyonichagua katika wewe kabla ya misingi ya dunia, nisiwe na hatia mbele zako katika pendo, thibitisho kwamba naitwa mbarikiwa tena ndani yake. Kusudi kubwa kama ulivyonichagua katika wewe kabla ya misingi ya dunia, nisiwe na hatia mbele zako katika pendo, thibitisho kwamba naitwa mbarikiwa tena ndani yake. Kusudi kubwa.
Amen. Amen. Such a blessing, and there is hope at the end of the tunnel. Asante sana. That was such lovely. I'll ask a question, of course, in regards to that song that you presented, but allow me to read this. So George Kiageo Seko is a passionate gospel minister, preacher, and a musician whose life and ministry are rooted in deep personal encounters with God. Born, of course, in the other area, Nyamira, and raised in both rural and urban setting, he carries the wisdom of a life shaped by contrast, hardship, and grace. His education journey, of course, now to the end of the tunnel, gets to a position where now you go to pursue a career at Bugema University in Uganda, a decision that really transformed your life. Now, today, you serve as an evangelist, of course, in evangelistic campaigns, as both a preacher and a musician. You are a music trainer, composer, and an artist whose songs, or your songs, reflect the real life struggles and divine moments that have shaped your journey. Your personal music ministry is steadily growing and continues to draw many closer to Christ. As you get a reflection towards that particular phrase that we've just read, how does that song that you've just sung speak into your mind?
The song is special to me. As I said earlier on, I had a personal encounter with
Indeed.
God. And it's one occasion that made me realize or rediscover
Indeed.
there is a purpose in my life. And you can't imagine what that really, the impact that it had over my life at that moment, especially.
Indeed.
Gaining a new purpose. It took me to another direction. I had a different approach for life, and I don't regret ever since I had that encounter till now. It has built me so much in life all round.
How do you understand that this is now connections with God? You know, when you're saying that realized, realignment, you know, it made me understand that God is within. How do we understand that?
Okay, I'm a believer. I'm a believer. So
Amazing.
I have no other option other than to believe. Reading the scripture and having that meditation
Indeed.
and continuous prayer would definitely lead me to look up to Christ.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And so I have no one else to believe in as a God than Christ.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. So now you are here as George Kiagi. How did you now begin this ministry? Was it something that you wanted for quite some time? Was it something that you developed as you were young? How did you even realize that you have a voice to amplify this ministry as well?
It's not something that has just begun. Just as you said, it began in my early childhood.
Amazing.
Some would be surprised if I said it began at around while I was in class 3. That's when I began, around 2009 there. And it's been a strive so much. You know, young talents are not so easily embraced.
Indeed.
And especially if your atmosphere is not a good consumer of some kind of talent such as this, it would be so hard to thrive and to grow and become really that vision that you have in mind. So, but I had a few mentors here and there, especially in school. That is what inspired me so much.
Amazing.
I had so many friends in school who are passionate musically. We also had a music teacher over there. We had, there were so many sources that were giving me a good energy and a good ground to start on.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. That is now how the development came in. So when did you make a decision that now mimi lazima niimbe liwe lisiwalo?
I actually didn't make a decision. I don't remember one point sitting and saying that this is what I want to do.
Indeed.
It's been manifesting. The Spirit has been manifesting itself just like that. I always don't take, I don't have a big say on how, it's some kind of spirit that is so stubborn that I don't have much control over. And music has a big part of my life. Music defines me. It is who I am. And when I say that, you might fail to understand.
Of course we might.
But I have been working on those paths. Music has given me a big family. A big family within the Adventist and even from the other denominations. I've built a very big circle of friends just from music. So you asked me a good question, how has it been happening? It just came up naturally. And I remember there was a point I really didn't take it as a talent. People would say, maybe there are those circumstances people invite you, those who have talents of singing and that. I remember I could isolate myself when such people are called out. I didn't like to participate so much in it. I was at the back bench, but deep down there is something that is pushing me. Yeah,
there's something special that is pushing
moments of discouragement were there, especially at that age. I remember there's a time I was so yearning to join the school choir, but the music teacher didn't let me to do that.
Alisemaje?
Alisema wewe ni mdogo sana, wewe ni mtoto. I was in class 3 and the school choir only contained the senior students, as for maybe class 6 there. But in me I just felt I can do what they do. I can sing. I can sing, just hear me out. I remember even there's one time I went there. It was during visiting day.
Amazing.
So tukaenda hapo na mamangu at least to kumsitoka at least aruhusu, because the school was so nice. I remember they could go for events, they could sing so nicely. You see the drama, music events. Sana. You know, tulienda huko and that visit didn't bear any fruit at all. Tulifika hapo na mbele yake tu akatukataza haiwezekani. Until some other time, the music teacher who was at that moment, he left. Another one came in, and I remember that's the time I also got now an opportunity to really showcase my talent.
Indeed.
I began by composing a song. At class 3.
Ooh,
and it's so funny.
Remember that song? Ama ni kitambo sana.
It's so funny. I composed the song in bass.
Amazing.
In bass. And it was only a stanza and a chorus. So I was so happy, and I felt like now this is it. This is what everyone needs to listen to. I went to the teacher and I told her, no, before the teacher I just met one of my friends. Najua kuna kuanga na ule beshte mwenye anakupeanga tu saika. Nikaenda kwake nikamwambia,
scared.
Is it not to believe that it's me? And I also didn't want to dwell so much on him. I kept on with my ambitions.
Amazing.
I proceeded to the school choir that time now. I really wanted to do it directly, to approach the music teacher, but I didn't get an opportunity to. I was also somehow scared. So what I did, I just used a few choir members who were there. I told them, now listen to this. I have something here. I tried composing a song. And as for me, bass was my favorite voice at that time.
Amazing. At class 3.
Bass. And so I felt...
Class 3 could have a bass.
Imagine that. No, I was not singing, but I was just obsessed with bass.
Okay.
Though even as I could sing, I just felt like I'm singing bass. Hata kama ni soprano, nilikuwa na feel tu naimba bass. So I did it, and then they were surprised. They were shocked. And then tukaendelea hivyo. The spirit never died.
Indeed.
And then most times I remember during my free time after school, I could just go to uko home. Kuna wakati sasa during holidays, ngefika home sasa kule nje kuna mali kuna maua. Indeed. Kuna maua yenye yamezunguka boma hivi. You know, I could take those ones as my music student. I could use that as the choir, and I'm the choir master.
Amazing.
I could stand before them, and I assume now those are people standing before me, and I could practically do what the teacher normally does over there.
Amazing.
I train a song, soprano, alto, tenor, bass. And I feel like now they are joining me in that music.
Amazing.
And where they go wrong, I want to do what the teacher always does, beating them up.
So how do you know that they've gone wrong?
I was imagining that here you haven't done it well. Yeah, I was taking that place of the teacher. It was interesting. And so I could also sing, and I feel like now the whole choir is singing with me. I'm not alone in this. That was the Spirit.
Wow. Excellent. And then I will really understand, were you expecting them to do a good job at the end of the tunnel?
Because I felt now maybe I'm the right person for them and they're the right people for me. You can make a big team. In case now the flowers turned into people, then it would be a great choir in this world.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Did you manage to get to the choir?
To get to the choir at that time?
Yeah, when maybe you grew up at grade 5 onwards?
Yeah, of course I was in the choir already at that time.
So ulikuwa kigogo unafundisha?
Mimi nilikuwa tu member, but there is a point ilifika I became one of the soloists. Any song that would be done there, they would just want me to solo. I was singing soprano.
Amazing.
Soprano.
Do you remember that song? That song that you sang at grade 3?
I can't cheat you that I remember the song. I don't remember the song, but they are our favorite songs for the choir that we used to sing.
All right. Amazing. Of course, we'll give you a chance to remind us of the good times that you were there. And I really love the fact that you're saying that you're presenting this to the flowers just in accommodation to the space that are going to minister before the presence of your fellow students as well. What is the biggest thing that you treasure so far in your ministry?
I have I don't know whether I should call it a slogan, but my slogan says, heart melody to the Lord.
Amazing.
So what I love so much about my music is, it might not be so interesting or pleasing to you, but as for me, I want to do what comes directly from me.
Amazing.
I want to express my emotions, my feelings, and it's in connection with especially, you see, we're calling it gospel music. So it's fully the encounters that I've had with God.
Indeed.
Personal life experiences with God. At some point, umekuwa na hii experience, and then you feel so moved to just have a record of it.
Indeed.
The songs would always remind me of some specific occasions. So like this Tumaini, I can tell you it was at that point, it was the turning point of my life.
Indeed.
My biography there, if you'd read, there's a point.
Yep.
There's a turning point. So this song falls under that occasion.
Indeed.
I had been depressed.
Really serious.
And so it's the song that describes that period. Just briefly. It wouldn't say much, but at least you see, the tunes, the melody would bring those memories back.
Indeed.
But the great thing is that at the end of it all, there's some hope.
All right.
I'm here because I overcome it.
Amazing.
So it's a joyful moment, much as it reminds me of the toughest moment in my life.
All right. I think when we come back to the next session, we'll be able to understand, and since you're a man and we are still embracing men's mental, how in that position, how did you overcome that, and what are some of the things that zilifanya you were in a better position to overcome that in the best way possible. So allow us now to take a short breather. So when we get back to understand what are the true elements of worship and how does ministers get themselves to the hearts of worship, and also we'll also have an engagement on you as a preacher, and you embracing the fact that there is a particular gospel that needs to sink into the hearts of many that are listening to you or will listen to you in good time. Now, in the next few minutes, ladies and gentlemen, of course, we'll get that clear understanding, and of course, one of the biggest challenges that he has embraced, we'll also get a touchline on that, and also have a look on the next projects that are underway and what are some of the things that Kiage Junior Ministry does right here to elevate his ministry. Don't go too far. You're watching The Morning Drift.
Kipindi ni ukulima ni mali na Manjoro. Kumbuka hapa ndipo unajifunza mambo mengi kuhusu ukulima. Kilimo ni uti wa mgongo wa nchi, na ukiwa na njoro unajifunza. Kumbuka, angalia mwenyewe. Tunakuambia ukitaka kujua tips za ukulima, ungana na sisi kwenye Look Up TV every Sunday. Unatukuta pale saa 10, tunakuonesha kuhusu ukulima. Ukulima wa mimea, ukulima wa ng'ombe, ukulima wa kuku, ukulima wa mbuzi na yote ambayo yanahusiana na ukulima. Kumbuka nini? Kipindi ni Ukulima ni Mali.
People are there to belittle you.
When people are questioning you,
if you don't move fast, of course, yes, you lose it, but then it's not us to push you.
but you do not know the God who has been molding me, what has he been doing to me?
The deep and mature conversations of empowerment for you with a curious mind and an appetite for oriented conversations.
I concur with what you're saying. You plan your finances, you can easily live without a debt.
An engaging safe space of free expression and truthfulness with an upheld vibrance, motivation and happiness.
So many children who are there, they are not living their dreams.
Join us for deep conversations with Zipporah Gashushe every Saturday from 8 p.m. The Deeper Conversations on Look Up TV.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Look Up, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu, kwa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wasa wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hao sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi mama.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
If you want to have a proper outlook of the economy, then you have to speak to the wheels and gears of the integral businesses in the country.
And I want to be able to make the youths and everybody coming up in Kenya know that this is here locally.
Men and women in the thick of the bust of markets rising and falling, fighting to make their business decisions stick.
I've always lived in my career that I can never be late.
You need to train by yourself. You need to practice by yourself. Then from there you can compose yourself and give kind of services like this.
On season 2 of the Captain's Arena, we seek the inside of the minds, predict the shift in the markets, get inspiration to start and make sense of it all.
Just watch what everybody else is doing and just make sure you're giving back to the society.
Oof. This is the Captain's Arena.
Welcome back. You're watching the Morning Drift right here on Look Up Television headquarters, and we are embracing the ministry in the rooted deep conversations or deep encounters with God. And of course, there is also a packed on understanding, a ministry of hope and resilience in the time where you feel discomfort and you feel like you want to change some things that you do in your ministry. But here comes a point of resilience, a point of hope, and there is a greater tomorrow. As Gegejin, of course, now right here, we are having this conversation, ladies and gentlemen, and also we are live on YouTube. Use the hashtag Artistic Thursday, and Entertainment Friday, and therefore we'll get an understanding on the same in the spaces of ministry. So we were asking a question in regards to you in the spaces of depression, and since we're marking the men's mental, how really did you overcome this?
First, this period approximately lasted for not less than 1 year. I was fighting a lot, and that was around 2020. I remember very well. That was the period of COVID.
Indeed.
Remember, yeah? So when I say it's a period of COVID, it was one of the hardest economic times we've ever lived in. Something new that had not ever been experienced.
Never been seen.
And so I was there, caught up in lots of stress here and there, financial constraints. Somewhere I spoke about betrayal. Yeah.
Indeed.
Your friends are normally revealed mostly when you're going through some crisis. Not everyone would want to stand with you. So those who are firm enough, those who are true and they are loyal to your friendship, would stand with you in that moment. And so I had almost none. Let me say almost. So it was quite a struggle. And all through my life, having grown in hardship, I'm not one who can be called a crybaby or whatsoever. You not easily. You can't notice this person is going through this and this. So meaning I would carry out myself in a way that looks normal.
Amazing.
Of course, I would smile, I would laugh. I would go to church, as usual, meet my friends. I would train the choirs.
Amazing.
I would do things just normally.
Amazing.
But now, at the end of the day, there's only one footprint to the house, and there's one roof for me.
One roof, indeed.
And so while I'm on that bed, it's me who has to break down everything and face all facts. And the facts I was facing was that life was so tough at that moment, and I had almost nothing to do about it. I could not help myself in any way.
At the times you're paralyzed.
Didn't want to go into so much details about it.
All right.
But I want to tell you why I had to mention about friends, conducting myself normally, going to church, and still keeping on well. I mentioned that so that you would realize that my healing or my ability to overcome was not an influence of maybe the environment or the church. No, not at all. It was something that was so personal. It was a deep encounter, as you'd say. I remember there is a time, and I don't want to mention that.
Okay, it's okay.
Actually, there are times you try praying in this life, and you feel like your words are so empty. You pray and pray and pray, there are those expectations you have, or your petitions in prayer.
Indeed.
And sometimes you feel like they are not answered. And so you ask yourself, what's the point of praying and praying and praying, and you don't see any fruits? So I had to also face that challenge. At some point I had to stop my prayers, stop my Bible studies, and every other thing religiously. But there's no deep connection with God, because I feel a whole cup. And that is how depression took place. That is how it got into me. I could not handle the worries and the anxieties anymore.
Indeed.
And so that means I completely lost hope. Hope in life.
Indeed.
And I didn't see any meaning of keeping on struggling every other time. I didn't see the meaning of living around people who don't wish the best for you. I didn't see the reason of living, especially kuna mimi niliona inasema ati wengine wetu tulizaliwa tuteseke. So such things were going through my mind. And so if it's a consolation, I needed one that is so deep and beyond what I was, beyond the idea I had about life. I needed a deep consolation. And you know, that could not come from mere human beings. It faded away completely. And so no matter how much I tried to run away from my God, I felt like at the end of the day is the person whom I had to run to again.
Is God.
The God whom I don't see, the God whom I don't hear.
Amazing.
So I went back to my Bibles again.
Went back to where you...
with an intention of searching to find at least some hope.
Amazing. Amazing.
You know, that is what we call genuine Bible study.
You're right.
You're very intentional of what you're doing. I never used to do that at first. So it's a challenge also to other people out there. Yeah, you go to church, you read your Bible, you pray, but you're not intentional. You're not very genuine in whatever you're doing. It will achieve very little, and it won't be of any impact. That was the point that that drove me into realizing that there is hope in this life, no matter what circumstance you're going through. And I quoted the book of Ephesians 1:4 at first, the one that says, even as he chose us before the foundation of the world. And that verse, it really got my attention so much, I had to think about it for a second time. Even as he chose us before the foundation of the world. I took it very personal. So I asked myself, is this God? And he chose who? If he chose me, and as the verse says, before the foundation of the world.
Amazing.
So then I started seeing some sense. But yeah, I can be living in whatsoever circumstance, in whatsoever point I am in life. But what matters the most is that God is aware of my existence.
Amazing.
That is a turning point. That is a game changer. Realizing that God knows about you. And he had planned about you even before the foundations of the world. So that means before God, you are a special creature.
You're right. At the moment where you felt very low, what is that the inspiring verse that you'd mentioned, or is there any other verse that really uplifted you, or there are verses that, you know, maybe there's someone that is watching right now and feels like I've been in that position before. I need those verses. I need you to tell me this is what I read and this is what I read, or we wait for them to have their own understanding.
Of course, we would give verses to encourage people. But at the end of the day, you would also have your own experience, and there is something that you relate with more easily. So we really can't compare. Yeah, but
there are verses that you can relate with.
As for me,
yeah, sure.
this was the game changer. This verse, I read it and it gave me a totally new approach to life.
Indeed.
Realizing that I'm a special person, I'm God's child. He knows of my existence, and He has got plans.
All right. Judge, speaking about approach, was it the same approach that now really made you, because now you're having a personal commitment and an encounter with God? Was it the same thing that made you feel like you want to take a step ahead and, you know, study a voice of greatness that is now in the ministry?
Thank you. You got it right.
All right.
Yes.
Amazing.
It was completely the turning point.
Amazing.
Like, generally, I had to make a new consecration. I had to recommit myself anew.
Amazing.
Meaning I had to now depend on this God who has given me a life that I almost lost. Let me say I had lost it, but He has helped me find reason to live. Amidst those trying moments, amidst like fighting to trust on people who don't see any good value in you, God shows up. He steps in when you're almost giving up, when you want to quit everything. And so He comes in and He fills you with purpose, He fills you with meaningfulness.
Indeed.
And so I chose to work with this, because anyway, I don't think this reason to live would have come from any other source.
Indeed.
This new approach to life would have come from any other source other than God.
Indeed. How's the process so far? How's the working with God taking you now? Because you now in two spaces, that is, you know, in the spaces of music ministry and of course in this particular pastoral ministry. How's the life been now?
One thing I know, Ukristo ni gharama.
Amazing.
When you choose to be a disciple, there is always a cost.
Really?
It's a cost beyond imagination, and it's not predictable. Like, struggles would never end. In fact, Christianity is a warfare. I made up my mind when I was in my lowest moment, and I just said, whichever way God leads me, I'll follow. But we are one henceforth. Whatever He tells me, I'll do. And so whatever comes, let come what may. There's that phrase people normally use. So what I'm trying to say is, struggles didn't end. They have been there. Even right now, I'm having
You're having your
a lot
personal struggles.
A lot.
Indeed.
And now the only thing that is good about it is that you'd have a different approach to struggles when you're in them trusting in God than someone who would be in struggles but he doesn't have such a powerful anchor.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right. So you are in those spaces, and wewe peke yako ndo unajua kwamba there are some things that are running in your mind, and these are some of the struggles that you are enduring. How do we now groom ourselves, despite the fact that we are having these struggles, and I'm supposed to go minister to people and, you know, sing to the masses, but there's deep down in my head there's something that is killing me. So how do we groom ourselves? How do we get to the spaces of the altar? How do we make sure that the message, after all, is amplified rather than, you know, embracing the fact that there is a problem in me?
there is something we call self-examination. Just discover yourself. Know your identity. That would give you a bearing. That would give you a direction. Even before we speak about grooming. You know, identity helps you to become genuine. It helps you to know what you're about to get into. Like if you choose to be a servant of God, you know what you're getting into. It is not something that just came up. You're serving because everyone else around you is serving. You know your identity and you've just gone through it and you've interpreted what it means to be a servant of God. You've meditated fully. You have had that personal connection with God and you've fully made up your mind. So what I'm saying is it begins from knowing your identity, then you can be properly groomed. And you may not be in the powers to groom yourself and become upright dependently on you. But once you know, I'm talking a lot because for ministry it's different. Not like other areas of life. When it's ministry, there is full dependence upon God. We would try being so religious, you know, that is physical. But ministry is more of your heart to God. And He is the one who grooms you. So if you have no God in you, definitely one day, one time, no matter how hard you tried to show how good you are to people, those efforts would maybe utachoka.
Right.
Utafika wakati na utachoka kufurahisha watu. But when you know it's a matter between you and God, you'll never be tired of it. You always want to make God proud. You always want to glorify Him in everything. So that thing of grooming between you and God, it's very spiritual.
All right. In that particular space now, what are some of the projects that are underway? I remember when you were doing the a reason to live, and everyone, of course, has a reason to live in the same spaces. You know, there is a particular to engagement that all of us need. So what are some of the projects later on that you are looking forward to create?
There are so many projects I would wish to do. Especially charity missions. That is where I want to dwell in so much. Doing things that can at least help people regain that purpose and hope in their lives. Giving hope to the hopeless. It's what my heart wants to do. It's what I feel is right. It's what also gives me hope, or it's the purpose that I have. And so when I don't get to fulfill it, I don't feel somewhere. But there are things that are hindering this. But underway is a project, I don't want to call it a project, but there's an it in Kulinze Katonda. That is a Luganda word, which means I'm waiting for you, Lord. Kulinze is I'm waiting. Katonda is God. Other languages would call him Mukama. And just as I'd said, for me, every event that I organize is God. So it's always associated with whatever thing is happening in my life.
Amazing.
In my
All right, so I would like to give you now a chance to give some shout out as we get to a closure of this particular conversation, and I love the fact that you say knowing God and understanding Him are not the same. A personal relationship with you, and the message that the world is simple but unwavering. No matter what you go through, never lose your trust in God. I haven't known Him fully, but I'd rather die trusting Him. Life is more than what we gain today. That is powerful, sir. Down of that particular song that you have in the playlist. Do your thing.
Okay, thank you so much. The Kiage Music Ministry, all friends that can share the same mind, the same purpose with me, so that we make together a strong team for Christ, for the sake of Christ, to glorify Him, to put a smile on people's faces. Working for the Lord, there is nothing, just as you read over there, there is nothing as joyful as devoting one's life to Christ. It's something that would give you strength, power, and value automatically. And so all youths, people of my age out there who are going through some difficult moments, I know youth, there's a lot within that age bracket, there's a lot that we go through.
Right.
I would urge them to at least do a self-examination, discover their identity, know who they are, surrender their lives to Christ, and their purpose and meaningfulness of life will be restored, and they'll be able to have some new energy, some new strength for the days that are coming.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for honoring this invite. My director, King Dante Max, says you have a great music. He's checked your account on YouTube, and it is very, very anointed. And of course, Okano Rodney says tuned in. And I believe Ole Musonya says as well, great work, enjoying the show from Jamaica, and that is an area where it needs revelation on impact of the ministry. In the same context, now we're playing Naji Tolea, and therefore be hosted by our very own Hannah Jackson's right here on the headquarters. So Naji Tolea is playing. Then thank you so much for coming, and of course we believe there is a greater touch towards the ministry and the elevation towards all this. My name is Moses Okech. See you next week. God bless us all.